Welcome to Streams of Income, hosted by best-selling author and entrepreneur Dr. David Powers, where we discuss streams of income, passive income, residual income, and even why there are dinosaurs and zombies in this intro. Fasten your seatbelts and get ready to dive in.
Welcome to the Streams of Income, Season 2, Episode something or other. So this guy that I'm getting ready to interview, Karl Jacobi, I heard him on another podcast. Matter of fact, it was Ryan Rieger's new Unleashed podcast, and I'm really looking forward to this. This guy, he's a veteran. He was a contractor. I mean, me and him share a lot in common, though we had different jobs. But this is going to be exciting. I hope you enjoy it. And first, I've had a lot of people ask me, and what I'm about to show you, these aren't sponsors, by the way, but I tend to drink a lot. It's why I never drank alcohol, period. Never started drinking alcohol because I know I am a guzzler. I'll grab a drink and just drink the whole thing fast. And best if I don't touch alcohol if I'm that way. Don't want to develop any bad habits. So people are always asking me, Dave, what are you drinking on the podcast? And so today, I picked these up at the Dollar Tree. It's G Fuel, but this is Sonic the Hedgehog, G Fuel energy drink. What flavor is this? Peach rings. And it is the best peach flavored. I know there's not a lot of peach flavored drinks out there, but it's the best peach flavored drink I've ever had. And of course, I drink energy drinks because caffeine, number one, but also no sugar. I love the taste and the feel of carbonation in my mouth. Even if it makes me burp on camera, I try to hide that, by the way. But so I like carbonated drinks. I go with the energy drinks, and this is Sonic the Hedgehog. That's pretty awesome. And I've also got a coffee. My daughter just brewed this for me. My 10-year-old daughter just brewed this. She actually grinds the coffee beans for me too. But she just brewed this and brought it down. Starbucks Christmas blend. I think I'm working on the last of my bags of the Starbucks Christmas blend. I know it's been a long time since Christmas, but I got it on sale, and usually their blends are fairly good. I don't buy coffee at Starbucks. I buy their fancy drinks, but I like to buy their coffees when they're on sale. And it's in a UK, University of Kentucky Tervis cup. Bought it at a garage sale. Not a fan of UK in particular, but it makes a great mug to hold some coffee in. And I'm drinking some True Value water mix. It's just an electrolyte mix that I put in my water because I hate the taste of plain water, or the absence of taste. So I'll drink more water if I put a mix in it. And so I'm on my second Nalgene bottle of the day. And my third recruit training battalion, Parris Island, Tervis, or not Tervis, that was the other one, but a Nalgene bottle because I was in the third training battalion in Parris Island when I was in Marine Corps boot camp. And so that's the drinks I have today. And so I hope you are getting ready to just grab onto your seat, put on your seatbelt. If you're in the car driving, make sure that seatbelt's tight, and man, stand by. This is going to be a fun podcast, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I'm going to enjoy recording it. All right, we're here with Karl. I see I'm already screwing up, man. It's part of my branding is to go unedited and just screw it up.
It's all good, dude.
Drink whatever. We're here with Karl Jacobi, and I just listened to your podcast with Ryan Rieger about a week ago, and I've been looking forward to this. I didn't know you well because we just became friends on Facebook through Jonathan Bricker, and I didn't know you well until that podcast. But man, we got some stuff in common I want to talk about.
Amazing, dude. Yeah, let's do it. And no worries, man, dude. I can't even pronounce my name a lot of times. If it's more than one syllable, yeah, I'm hosed, man. So it's all good, dude.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, you're spot on. Well, which time?
Good.
First time or second time?
Yes.
No, first. You're good on the second time, man. You nailed it.
All right. I tell you what, go ahead and give us a short intro, and we'll just drop into some questions and war stories, and talk about your gallon jug of water and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, as part of the 75 hard program I'm doing.
Oh man, you're doing 75 hard. How
Yes,
far
sir.
are you?
So day 36. This is my second time around.
Really? Wow. I've looked at it.
It's not for the pain of heart, dude.
Yeah, no. I like eating too much. That's the thing. That's what got me. That and I've already got kidney stones on both sides. And I'm already using the bathroom like 4,000 times a day. And a gallon of water. I mean, I drink my Nalgene bottle several times, but a gallon would have me. I wouldn't be able to leave the house.
Yeah, I get it. Water thing is not a big deal for me, man. I mean, I usually can drink a lot of water. In fact, if I don't drink a lot of water, I start to feel really, really bad. I guess it's a military thing. I don't know. But a lot of people have no problem drinking alcohol. I used to
Yeah,
be that way. I I used to drink a lot of people on the table, but nowadays, man, I'm just staying clean and focusing on clean health. So
yeah. I did a short intro right before this to like a pre-intro of this podcast, and I
awesome.
was talking about why I never drank alcohol because I like to guzzle liquid, and I know if I like the taste of alcohol, I'd do the same thing. I would just
Oh,
start
here you go.
guzzling.
Yep. 100%, dude. 100%.
Yeah. So, man, we've already got off track. Tell us about you. Like a brief intro, and then we'll get into the history and stuff later.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how deep or wide you want me to go with this, but yeah, so you know, originally from California, I don't claim that place as home. Please forgive me, don't hold that against me. It's a beautiful state to visit, but to live, no, no, sorry. Been all over the world, man. Not just because of my military and defense contracting role, but my parents were divorced at a very young age when I was 5 years old. They both lived on different sides of the country and even at different states. So it seemed like I was in a different school system every time I was bouncing back and forth. So relocating, always being on a move, it was just one of those things. It was in my blood. And I think it changed schools more than it changed my underwear, to be honest with you. But so
And that's
yeah,
funny, but that's pretty rough on you.
it is, man. It is.
I mean, yeah, not the
Um,
schools, the underwear thing.
yeah, yeah, both were rough, right? Yeah, well, I mean, there's pros and cons, man. I mean, bouncing around from school to school to school, I had no stability. I was great at making, well, I thought I was making good at making friends. I didn't have a whole lot of friends because I was gone all the time, you know. Um, but aside from that, yeah, I'm paramilitary. I spent 8 years in the military. First couple years, I was a grunt. Got smart and reclassed into aviation, Black Hawk crew chief. Turned wrenches, flew for a couple of years, got tired of that, and switched over to DoD contracting and trying to make the big bucks, man, that a lot of green suiters want to do. And so this is right around 2004, shortly after we invaded Balad, Iraq. We were the first unit to go in. And so did that stint for a couple of years. And shortly after that, they did some major downsizing, so we came to Alabama. 13 years too long, man. In that period of time, I started an e-commerce venture, started on the side, spanned over 20 years, started this eBay, kind of similar stuff, or small stuff, and eventually moved into Amazon, did that for about over 10 years, built several companies using Amazon platform, mostly selling physical products. We've done other things too. Um, exited that, exited everything, almost anything related to Amazon for the most part. And so, yeah, I'm in beautiful sunny Sarasota, Florida. I have a beautiful wife with 4 kids. Well, total of 4 kids. I have a 26-year-old son from a previous marriage. Yeah, man, just enjoying life and my new chapter, and yeah, being grateful for every day of my life, man.
Yeah, cool, cool. And so Sarasota, I didn't realize that. I'm already scheduled to be at a conference down there in February.
Dude, we got to link up, man.
Matter of fact, I think it's in Sarasota because I've got some friends in Tampa too that I'm gonna hook up with while I'm on that side of the coast.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll hit you up for lunch,
Heck yeah,
and
dude.
we'll go start a bar fight or something.
Sounds good to me. Heck yeah, dude. Let's go.
So a couple personal questions right off the bat, and so I'm eyeballing that there's a David Goggins book behind you on the bookshelf there. I see a copy of
Yeah.
Can't Hurt Me.
Yeah, that's right, man. I've got several
Yeah,
books back there.
yeah. And second thing, when you were contracting, it wasn't Blackwater Aviation, was it?
That was the first company where I was with, Blackwater.
Man,
Hmm.
because I see those guys. I mean, that's like a niche within a niche. Because I never
Hmm.
worked for Blackwater, but I worked with them with another company I was with,
Hmm.
and the Blackwater Aviation guys were like a breed apart from the regular
Hmm.
Blackwater guys. Yeah,
Hmm.
well, that's pretty cool. I really, like I said, some commonalities that we share with some of that. before
100%.
Blackwater went under and changed names and well,
Presidential Airways and a bunch of other.
yeah,
Yeah, I know. I
that's
hear
a
you.
history all on its own right there.
It is, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure is.
So, you are starting up, or not starting, but really digging into your new coaching thing now, right?
Yes, I am. When I exited my companies, you know, I had this weird feeling, because as an entrepreneur, what are you always doing? You're always working on your business. You're always grinding. You're always finding something to do. So when I exited my companies, man, it was weird because now it wasn't like day one, like wow, I had nothing to do. There was a transitionary period, right? So for about 6 months, there was this transitionary period for the new owners. There would exist they know the business, so it wasn't like I had to spend ample amount of time. It was kind of like here's our SOPs, here's our systems, here's how we've been successful. Rock out with it, right? And just making sure that the ship was heading in the right direction. And so when I navigated from that transition, I was like, okay, what's the new chapter for Karl? What is that new chapter? And I've always had this deep passion for helping people, and not just helping people, but help them become the best versions of themselves.
Mhm. Yeah.
Helping them win, helping them freaking smash limiting beliefs, and over smashing a gray matter between your ears, right? I mean, and not literally, but metaphorically, because that, in my opinion, is the strongest muscle you can ever possess, is the gray
Yeah.
matter in between your ears, right? But through this transitionary period, I'm like, I think I'm going to dabble in acquisitions. I love business. I just love business. I don't like starting things. I just love business. So I thought, well, I follow Cody Sanchez and Carl Allen. So I'm like, I'll take some content and see how I can apply our knowledge. My wife was going to do this with me and my eldest son. And we started to go down that road. And I'm like, it doesn't fulfill that burn for me, that passion. And don't get me wrong, we're still going to do it. We're still going down that road, but it's not something I'm going to be like looking at deals day in, day out, right?
Yeah.
So I've had several friends of mine, that I look up to, and I'm like, bro, I don't know where I'm at right now. I feel lost in my life. I just left the company that I've pretty much done my whole adult life, and everything that I known and built and put sweat and blood into is gone, and so fortunately this person, or one of these individuals I respect, with so much endearment, he's been with me for most of my life here, see me grow through the stages, see my passions, see what I'm capable of doing. And he said, dude, you need to stop fooling around and actually get into personal development. You need to go out there and coach people, help people become the best version of themselves. You're good at speaking on stage. And dude, I'm not a public speaker. Like I'm not. Like the first time I spoke at a conference, a good friend of mine, Jim Cockrum, he brought me on stage 3 or 4 years ago for the first time. And the very thought of going on stage for the first time. Now, mind you, I'm used to speaking to a group of people. Like as a crew chief, you had to do crew briefs, right? You
Yeah.
had to, especially at VIP. I mean, we had some very high level VIPs. I had to talk to them just like a normal peer. Like,
Yeah.
hey, don't be a clown on the aircraft, right? I mean,
I'm in charge of this bird. Sit down and
Yeah,
shut up.
exactly. You may be in charge of this nation, but I'm in charge of this aircraft right here.
I'll kick you
Uh,
out if I have to.
exactly, exactly. But I had no problem in having those kinds of conversations. But speaking on stage and being in front of these people
A
and
Jim
talking
Cockrum
about,
stage, though, that's no small group of people.
no, no, it's not. No, it's not. And so Jim pulls me up there the day of, say, hey, let's get Karl, get welcome. He's he's speaking for the first time, blah blah blah. And bro, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sweating. I'm standing on stage sweating, right? I could feel it running down my legs. And oh my gosh, I just, the whole thing of, just picture everybody in underwear. Nah, bro. No, that was not going to work for this guy. Um, but you know what, dude? A switch flipped off, man. A switch went off, and it was just like a whole nother side came out. It's like, dude, I did my speech, I did my presentation. I'm like, man, I want to do more of this. Like, this was amazing. And I'm not a a polished speaker. I'll say ums and all these other kind of audible pauses. I like to have fun. I like to goof off. My brain glitched at one of the conference at one of my presentations, and I had fun with it. I mean, you gotta have fun.
Yeah.
Life's too short, dude. Can't be too
Yeah.
serious about yourself. So,
My throwback is always if I can always fake a seizure and leave the stage. And so that's my in between. I can either speak and do good or screw up, or I can fake a seizure. So if it's not worth faking a seizure, then it's just
yes.
I might as well go ahead and do it.
Yes. Yeah. Amen to that for sure. So yeah, man. So I got into speaking. I just love doing it. And this mentor of mine said, dude, you go out there and speak your heart, talk about your story, help people, get into coaching and but do it for a specific audience. So, I call him a good friend of mine now. Somebody I looked up to for a number of years, Ben Newman. Um, I have had the privilege of working with him directly for the last 4 or 5 months now,
Yeah.
to basically take everything he's done for the last 19 years as a motivational speaker, which by the way, he does not like the word motivational speaker. He says, "I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm a coach."
Yeah.
Gotcha, boss. But and I get it, right? I mean, it's not about motivating; it's about inspiring and instilling disciplines. I mean, the same disciplines you and I learned in the military, right?
Yeah.
And things we went through. But so I've had the honor of working with him and learning from him, and absorbing from him, and being connected with other people in the same community. It's just like, okay, gotcha. So yeah, I'm extremely passionate about doing coaching, but not just coaching everybody, right? Now, granted, everybody can get something from my message. Everybody can get some kind of value of what I'm doing and what I'm offering. But my real mission is working with men who are entrepreneurs, who are business owners, and especially those that have kids.
Yeah.
Why?
Okay.
Because that is a role that is so deminimalized now or minimalized now that's not even funny. Like it's becoming an accepted thing to go out there and waste your life away, grind it out, grind it out, grind it out. Meanwhile, your kids are growing up. They don't have a father. Now, don't get me wrong, I get it. I did the grind for a long time, but I also missed a lot of events that I'll never get back. I'll never,
Yeah.
you know. And I think I said this on another podcast, and I'll share this with you. What really hit the feels for me was, I was talking to my oldest daughter Naomi and my youngest son Joshua. This was back when we were still in Alabama, and we were talking about entrepreneurship. And I obviously, as a fellow entrepreneur like yourself, it's always a goal of trying to bring your kids up with options, right? And do they have to be an entrepreneur? No. Would I like to see them to be an entrepreneur, or at least be able to control their destiny? Well,
Yeah.
100%, right? That's every parent's dream for the most part. I mean, really, the dream is just being fulfilled and happy and being at peace at the end of the day. So, again, I'm having this conversation with my two kids. We're talking about entrepreneurship, and you're just having a great conversation. And I told him, hey, this is why I'm grinding, 12, 14, 16, sometimes more hours a day,
Yeah.
right? And I said, well, how does that make you feel? And I'm expecting a certain response. And the response I got rocked my world. She says, I felt abandoned.
Oh. Not what you were expecting.
Nah, bro.
Yeah.
Like it still rocks me. Still. So from that point on, man, it took me a while. I'm not gonna say it was a switch. I'm like, I'm shutting everything down. Because I didn't know how to do it, dude.
Yeah.
I know I needed to be somewhere. I needed to, I knew this was the mission, right? This is my target. I don't know what my plan of attack is. I don't know how to get there. I don't know how to do all this. There's so much chaos, so much stuff going on. And honestly, dude, I was never set up for success. And that was not that it was an excuse by any stretch of imagination, but I didn't have a dad or a mom that showed me here's what balance looks like. Here's what it
Yeah.
looks like to be successful, right? Whereas for a successful marriage, being present with your kids, spending time, teaching lessons, leaving a legacy, those kinds of things. Did my dad and I have some good memories back then? Sure. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. Him and I love motocross. I mean, that's something that's been passed around from generation to generation. That's something we enjoy.
Yeah.
But he and I have a very different relationship nowadays, thankfully. However, my mom and I never got to reconcile before she passed away. Her and I had a very bad relationship. Thankfully I was never physically abused, but everything short of that
Yeah.
was there. Physical, everything, or not physical, but verbal, mental. If I believed everything, and for a long time I did. I didn't think I could do anything. And so yeah, most of my life I lived that way. I mean, I just kind of coasted. Dude, I didn't even finish high school. I had to go to adult school later on because I moved around so much. I had no stability. Nobody to really kind of inspire me, to mentor me,
Yeah.
you know. And so yeah, shortly, dude, if I didn't go to the military, bro, I'd be dead in jail. I know it sounds cliche,
Yeah.
but dude, that is the case.
Yep.
I lived in part of California, bro, that I was the minority, and I was hanging out with some wrong bros.
Yeah. You
And
learn how to fight, but it's not fun.
exactly,
Yep.
100%. And so, I honestly believe if I did not go in the military, I would be in jail or dead.
Yeah.
And
Now, what
so
flipped that switch? What was it? A mentor in the military? I mean, some sergeant that took you under the wing, or what flipped the switch for you?
that's a great question, dude. Can you believe it was well after the military when that
Yeah.
switch flipped for me? So, dude, I did great in the military. I got promoted quickly. I achieved rank quickly, to a certain degree. You know how the military is in the military. Sometimes you got to play politics and make people happy. And I think that's one of my biggest downfalls. I don't play politics. I don't. I believe in right and wrong. It's just the way that's just the way I believe.
Yeah.
And if you earn something, you earn it. And if you don't earn it, you don't get it. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people that are out promoting me because of various reasons. I'm not going to get into those just reasons, but for a variety of reasons, they were promoted over me. And you know what? Hey, that's fine. To each their own. I had, being in the military was not going to be a lifelong event for me.
Yeah.
Now, to answer your question, what flipped the switch for me? Honestly, it was a series of events that occurred where it was like, it honestly felt like in my business towards in the last 3 or 4 years, I was hitting wall after wall after wall after wall. And honestly, just it came to my knees. I'm like, God, what do I do? Like, what do I do? Because it felt like, regardless of what I did, regardless of, yeah, I mean, there was so much adversity that occurred, like it would topple the average business. I mean, to the point where we lost several $100,000, within the company, and
Yeah.
it really rocked us, right? And dude, I just had to pray a lot, man. And I know it sounds kind of, eh, weird, I guess, for lack of a better saying it, but honestly, I've never been a praying man. I never have, right? But dude, something changed in me where I'm like, I've got to do something different. I'm watching my kids grow up, move away. Like the reality started to hit, man, when our oldest daughter's talking about going to college. Our youngest daughter, she's get ready to go to college. I mean, we're talking a couple years ago, and the reality is starting to hit, man. It's like, dude, I don't want my kids to experience, what I went through.
Yeah.
I didn't have a relationship with my dad, not a very good one. I didn't have a relationship at all with my mom. And I don't want our kids to leave the house with no relationship, nothing at all, right? I just don't want them to not have a relationship. And so honestly, it took a series of events, as you said in your email, hey, I know you're a knucklehead, but I'm a jarhead too, or something to that effect. Yeah, I was a knucklehead, man. I didn't want to listen. And so I think it was a combination of events, and finally I just, what, it's yours, God, it's yours. And through bringing certain people into my life, I had to lean into my fears and lean into like, okay, I don't understand what's going on here, but there's a reason why these people are in my life. And these are people that I just like, I wouldn't have known yesterday. It's not like, I've been following these people or I've known of these people. It's just people that just appeared in my life and, show me various things differently that I could do in my life. A good friend of mine who is probably one of my best friends. That's how I learned about 75 hard. It was through him. So when I learned about 75 hard, it was like, yeah, that's a hard program. Yeah, hence the name, right? But I love the idea of trying to strive to be the best version of yourself, better than you were yesterday.
Yeah.
And whether it's through health, it's mental. I mean, really, at the end of the day, like you and I were talking about earlier, it's all mental. It really is. It's all mental. And through the 75 hard program, I really started to figure out my path. And there was a phrase that was told to me by Ben Newman that that really, like, I say this in my mastermind, like every week when we do our accountability calls, this is one of the key phrases. I say it over and over because it's important. I impress upon him that the importance of this phrase, and the phrase is, you can only lead to the level of discipline in which you live. Right.
Yeah.
So, for example, if I'm a football coach, I mean, can you imagine Nick Saban coaching, the Crimson Tide, how to play football and how to be the best version of themselves, eating a box of donuts? Probably not going to take them seriously.
Man, every time I see a fat coach, I mean, I got 3 boys in football right now, and some of the coaches couldn't run across the field without having a heart attack.
Yeah.
I mean, and they may understand the strategy and the tactics and who's good at what, but I still, in my mind, I judge them because I don't want to have to run out there and do CPR in the middle of my kid's football game.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, but I mean, as this one example, the other example is, living out your dreams. I kind of say, tell our kids, hey, you go live your dreams, go do this, go do that. For a while, you could probably get away with doing that, right? When they're younger and they start to get into their teens. But at some point, they're going to really figure out who you are as a parent. They're really going to figure it out. So either you're going to be that role model or that what's that term I'm coming up with? Role model for, I can't think of the term off the top of my head, or you're going to just be dad or mom.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're going to find a role model to follow either way.
Right. Exactly. Hero. That's what I was looking for. Are you going to be that hero?
Man. That's like up level from role model.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, for the longest time, as your kids grow up, they think of you as a hero, right? Because they know better. They only know what you tell them. But eventually they start to call you out on stuff. They see things differently. They hang around with their friends and just pay attention. I mean, how they act around you. Oh, yeah, it's his dad. Or is it, yeah, that's my dad. He's freaking, doing this. He's achieving this. Well, this is my mom. She does this. And they're almost like bragging about it, right?
Yeah.
So it's that kind of stuff, leading by discipline, leading by example. And dude, I'm not saying this because I'm perfect at it. Bro, I've got a long ways to go in my journey. But dude, I'm working at it each and every day, to, maximize, who I am and operate at my potential. I've got a long ways to go, but I've come a long way too.
It reminds me of that football game, football movie, the one Jim Caviezel was in. It was a true story, but is the winningest team in California. You probably know who it is because of that. But it was the winningest high school football record ever. It was like spanned 10 years with no losses. And his thing was 100% effort. Yes. You didn't have to be 100% perfect, but you had to do 100% effort. And he asked that of all his players. And that's the way I try to live. I mean, still screw it up all the time, but still looking at it,
dude.
Though.
We're human. As long as we can take inventory of it, learn from our mistakes, and be like, well, that wasn't a good idea, and move on, and not let it plague you. And this is the thing I see with a lot of people, and myself included, right? Dude, brother, I've been I've been broke. I've been broken. I know what it's like to live negative thoughts and know what it's like to be hurt, to be confused, to be lost, to be like, I don't think anybody's experienced anything that I haven't yet experienced to some degree. There is an asterisk, right?
Yep.
Like, I didn't have an alcohol well, I did somewhat in the military. Who doesn't though? But that aside for a moment, but all jokes aside, thankfully, I didn't have a huge problem with drugs or really much of a problem with drugs or anything of that nature. But man, anything mentally or anything with your past, you know, and I think this is what plagued me, and this is why I'm trying to work with so many people and make an impact on so many people, is so many people disqualify themselves from success because of their past. They let their past be the affection of what they're able to do, right?
Yep.
And you can't, man. You can't. Like, God doesn't qualify people. He calls a call upon a qualified. And who better qualify to lead people than the people they used to be?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, just think about health coaches, for example. What health coach are you follow the most? One who's never been fat, never had any health issues, that's ripped and cut, or somebody who's lost 100, 150 pounds, knows what the discipline is,
Yeah.
right? And they know the true struggles of what it's like to lose weight and stay accountable to those goals and to, go out and not just, go on a diet, but experience life in a different lifestyle, right? Going out
Yeah.
to eat, experience birthdays, anniversaries, life events, right? So,
Yep. So getting a tattoo from a guy that doesn't have any.
yes, yes. Wait a minute. No,
I mean, the tattoo
yes,
guys, my tattoo guy, he's like got them all over his head and everything. I'm like, yep, that's the guy. That's the guy I won't put ink on me.
yes. That's a perfect example. Unconventional, but perfect. I'm gonna have to use it on my next one. But yeah, man. I mean this is my mission. This is what I'm working on, and this is my mission, man.
Yeah. Well, tell me some of the details of your program. So you mentioned mastermind, but what exactly do you guys do in your program?
Yeah. So, well, I have various programs, right? So I have a mastermind. In fact, I'm launching a 12-week elite mastermind that encompasses a lot of what I just talked about. It lasts 12 weeks. It starts on the 18th of September. It's capped at 15 people. And what this is about is there's a set of curriculum that I'm running over for 12 weeks. In fact, I'm going to invite you to it if you're open for it. But it's over 12 weeks. We do weekly accountability calls. It's a live call. We're going to have a private community. I have my own platform, where I plug people into. There's an app as well, but we have weekly accountability calls. But I run them through a set of curriculum, right? And it's stair steps from week one. Like week one, we're kind of doing a little bit of discovery, kind of building a foundation a little bit, do a little bit of housekeeping because it's the first call, right? But after that, man, it's building and building and building. The first 4 weeks, it's going to be really intense emotionally. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to go deep emotionally to find things that you probably never knew that was there. And I have not had one person that hasn't cried. Like,
Yeah.
there,
Oh
there,
man,
there
that's
were,
first thing that came to mind. Guys need a band of brothers they can cry with and not be
yes,
made fun of. And
yes,
and you, I mean, I'm an ugly crier, and I get with guys like that, and I will cry because they're crying. And
yes.
yeah, same thing with throwing up. I mean, if somebody else throws up, I'm gonna throw up too. It's just I feel it, man.
I actually know somebody. This making a sound would make them vomit. Like, they would just make them. So
Yeah.
coincidentally, he was a crew chief too. Can you imagine that
Oh man.
on a flight? Just playing around on ICS or inside the internal communication system, just making noises. Yeah, but so in terms of the mastermind, we're building upon each and every week. So the first 4 weeks, we're really building a foundation. And after that, man, it's just really about accountability and reframing, right? Because sometimes goals may come to the surface initially, but may change over time because you're digging deep. We're not just going surface level, bro. We're going deep, deep, deep. Like, we're going into depths of hell to find
Yep.
different things that's been plaguing you, right? And so, we're building upon that. That's running for 12 weeks. I'm also sending out a co-branded book by Ben Newman as well. It's going to have my nice little picture on there. Hope I don't break the camera, but it's going to have my picture in there and my branding along with his and some of this stuff he and I have wrote together. So I'm really excited about this. I also do one-on-one coaching for people as well, that or that are able to do it. Granted, I will tell you that not everybody can. And that's fine. That's why I'm doing a mastermind to give everybody the benefit of being able to work with me as close as you possibly can without having to shell out a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
And for
Yep.
me, I'm impact focused. Like I'm trying to stay impact focused. And granted, at the end of the day, like you, man, I've got a beautiful family I got to provide for. I've got kids that's going to college, um, so I got to make
It's
sure they're
not a
taken.
nonprofit.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a nonprofit, bro. I wish it could because, man, I do want to impact so many lives. But also, dude, it's something I've learned. I think you can resonate with this. If you pay attention,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So, I mean, just say, for example, you pay, I'm just going to throw this number out there and I'm not going to scare anybody because this is not actually what I charge. But say you pay 10 grand for something, right? You're going to show up, right? You're going to get 10 grand worth of
Yeah.
whatever, content you just paid for, right? Well, that's our philosophy. If you're paying a premium, you're going to show up, you're going to take action, you're going to employ the things that I'm going to teach and network and really put effort into this and not just, I mean, you ever bought a $25 book and be like, I'll read it someday and put it on the shelf, right?
Yep.
This isn't a book on a shelf type of thing. This is something you take action on that will not just change you, but change generations to come, right?
Yeah.
You're breaking the generational curse. So, I do have one-on-one clients, that work with me. Some of them work with me every year. I've had some that just work with me for 6 months. And so I have various types of programs available. I have a community as well. It's a low ticket offer. It's $97 a month. And, I have courses in there, content. We also do group calls as well, accountability calls, but it's not as intimate as a mastermind is. It's just,
Yep.
hey, here's a community here of like-minded people. It's not going to break your bank, but there's a ton of value here. You can, consume courses, network with other people, check in on the calls. I'll talk about a certain topic. As well as the mastermind, I actually bring in guests to talk about a certain thing. It could be another, influencer, an entrepreneur that's really, if we're driving home on a topic about self-belief, I'll go out and reach out to somebody in my network who I think, is a master of self-belief, like David Goggins. Not that I know David Goggins, but somebody of those likes, right? Um, Maybe someday I'll be able to text him one day and say, "Hey, bro, can you come in and talk to my group?" But
Yeah.
not today.
And he'll jog to your house.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
From Nashville.
Yeah. Stay hard.
Somebody's got to carry the boots.
Yep, that's right. That's right, man. Carry the boots. That's right. But so that's what I'm focused on. That's what I'm doing. I'm looking to get more into public speaking and talking in front of groups of people. I guess you can call it motivational speaking, but I hate the word motivational. I'm kind of the
Yeah.
same way as Bennett, but it is what it is.
I hate that too, and it's like that's what you have to say to get the conversation started. Like people know that, but if you
They
say
do.
any other kind of, I tell people sometimes demotivational speaking because they're like, "What in the world is that?" I'm like, "I'm
Yeah.
gonna scream at you and tell you to get off the couch." And
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, it's one thing to motivate people, but what's motivation? It's an emotion. You know
yeah,
this. I mean, it's temporary. You get all energized, you want to fire it up and go through a wall and just smash that wall, right? But if there's nothing on the other side of that wall, you just got a concussion for nothing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And Goggins, I mean, he talks about it a lot. He hates motivational stuff,
Mhm.
and I mean, he won't even listen to music when he's working out because he's like, "What am I going to do if I all of a sudden don't have the music to motivate me? Then it's got to come from within."
It does. He's got a valid point there too, because I know that firsthand experience. I like working out with my headphones. I don't do it my walks. When I do my 45-minute walk outside, I don't do it with my AirPods. I do it quietly. It gives me a good time to think and
Yep,
recalibrate and recenter, right? But every time I go to the gym, especially if I go to the sauna, bro, I've got AirPods in. And there has
yeah.
been a handful of times I forgot my AirPods. It was hard, bro. It
Oh,
really
I've
was.
canceled workouts before just because I didn't have, I forgot my music. Like, well, screw it. I'm just gonna go home.
Yeah, it's
So let's see. I listen. So when I'm doing long workouts like rucks and walk, I don't run because running's weird. But rucks and everything else, I'll listen to podcasts because it's just
mhm.
slow and takes. But when I'm doing strength training, I listen to gangster rap, like '90s gangster rap, because that's what I grew up
Oh,
with. You probably grew up around the actual people.
ye-
But so, what do you work
I
out
cannot
with?
confirm or deny that.
Did you know Ice Cube before he was an actor?
Yes, I did actually.
Yeah, I
I think
figured
that
that's
just dated us a
the
bit.
area you were from.
Yep. Yeah, I think that might have dated us a little bit, man. But that's okay.
Yeah. Yep. So what's your go-to music for a workout?
Uh, I love metal, dude, and I'm not talking
Yeah.
like this screaming metal, that you can't hear. Five Finger Death Punch, old school Metallica, Pantera. I say old school
Oh man.
Metallica. It's just
My
the new.
13-year-old is he's a self-taught guitarist in Pantera, man. I can hear it from the upstairs all day long.
Nice, nice.
Yeah. I like that he listens to a lot of my stuff too, the old Metallica and
Yep,
a little bit of grunge, but mostly Metallica, Megadeth.
yep. Yeah, I used to play a lot of grunge in my high school days. I'm also I had played guitar in like years, but I'm self-taught as well. In fact, it's one of the things I did to kind of keep myself busy when I was younger because my parents weren't around that much, so I would play guitar or I would go out and ride bikes, either motocross or
Yeah.
BMX, one of the two. And so yeah, grunge, old school, even classical. My grandfather taught me classical when I
Yeah.
first started to learn how to play guitar, and that's brutal, man, on a guitar, dude. But yeah, I love old school rock, dude. Honestly, I can just about listen to anything. I
Yeah.
really can. I just got to be in the right mood for it. I love classical. I love jazz. I love rock. I love metal.
Yeah.
You know, I don't
I'll
like the new
blast
rap
techno when
though.
I'm in the office, like well, we're dating us again, the old '90s techno, Moby
Oh
and some older stuff.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because
You get a
it's the
rave
beats per
going,
minute, the
man.
bass, it keeps me going. Yeah. Next thing you know, instead of working, I'm swinging glow sticks.
Awesome. Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, because
Awesome.
I was stationed at Fort Sam for a while in San Antonio,
Oh
and
wow.
there was a huge rave scene when I was down there in medical school, and all the other guys would be doing regular bar hopping, and I'd be at the raves by myself.
That's awesome, man. Heck yeah.
So let's see. Before I forget, what's the best way for people to find all things Carl?
So the best thing you can do is go to my website, carl-jacoby.com, or you can just look me up on Facebook.
All right, cool.
Carl J. Jacoby. There is a Carl Jacoby. You can friend request him all you want, but that's my dad.
If you don't get a friendship back, it'll be your dad.
Yep, exactly, exactly. So just make sure you look for Carl J. Jacoby, the younger version of Carl. Otherwise, you just go to my website, Carl-Jacoby, Karl-Jacoby.com.
Good, good. And the sorry, man, my coffee went
You
down the wrong
good?
way. So another thing before I forget, we can keep talking too, but one thing I always want to make sure I ask everybody towards the end is if you had to drop everything and money wasn't so much an issue, but you had to pick one stream of income to do for the rest of your life,
Hmm.
what would your dream stream of income be? And you
Coaching,
could even do a new thing.
coaching.
Yeah.
Dude, I love working with people, man. I love helping people. Yeah, I really do. Helping. I mean, you think about it. Just envision this person who, like myself, was not set up for success, is lost in the chaos. They're not living their potential. They have a family, or this person dad we're talking about. He knows he's destined for more, and he's burnt out. He's confused. I mean, dude, think about what's going on right now. You got so much stir going on social media. You got so much politics. I don't care who you vote for at this point. I really don't. I have my personal preferences, but we're not here for that. Stuff with the economy, all this stuff going on. And as a father, as a dad, you gotta weigh all this, right? You're wearing it right here on your shoulders.
Yep.
And who do you have to go to for it? Nobody. Your wife has somebody, your kids has somebody, but you don't,
Yeah.
right? So to take that person and let that person realize they can win. They can go out there, and as soon as they start to reignite that self-belief and get that, that confidence back, and seeing the eyes light up, you have those eyes light up with life and passion. Dude, after about 3 or 4 weeks, I'm seeing another version of that person. Like
Yeah.
physically, you know? Um, so yeah, I mean, dude, that fires me up.
Yeah, man.
Really.
And so much of what you're saying too that I can see kind of following the boot camp basic training model. The
Hmm.
your program, how you break them down and build them up. The
Yes.
coaching, man, it's like you got to crack that shell off of them before you see the true manly butterfly emerge.
That's a
And
great
and
analogy, dude. I'm gonna have
and
to
plug that
steal
into
that,
an
bro.
AI art thing and just let's see what pops up. But butterfly with a
Yeah.
six pack.
No, but that, you know what? That now you say that is a very good analogy, or a good comparison. It is very much like boot camp. I mean, you and I've been down that road, right? You go in, you got Hell Week, or for the first week where they freaking do everything they can to break
Oof.
you,
Yep.
right? Oh, bro.
Guys
Then
wetting
what?
the bed and crying and yeah. But that's when
Oh
you
yeah,
bond with the ones
yeah,
that aren't wetting their bed and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. That's right. And I think it's one thing, side note, I think that's one of the things I miss about being in the military are
Yeah.
those bonds, the camaraderie that you build, the friendships you
Yeah.
build. Um, but uh, but no, man, that's a very good point. And once we break that and really expose who you are as a person, and then we build on that, man. We build in, the traits that you need to win in today's society and break that generational curse, because I'm not just
Yeah.
making an impact on you, I'm making an impact on your kids' kids, and so forth and so forth.
Yeah. Yep. And it's just like church. I mean, if we're evangelizing people, you never know the impact. I mean, like you could preach one service or just speak to one person and mention God or pray before a meal, and you've affected who knows, and you won't ever know until you get to the other side.
That's all
But
right. That's
that
right.
tree you're building is immense.
It is. It absolutely is. You're right. And that's a good point, man. 9 times out of 10, you won't ever know it.
Yep.
You really won't. You won't ever know the true impact you have. Um, into not that you would know, but people who are left behind, they'll know the impact because everybody's going to be talking about it, right? Um, so yeah, you're 100% correct on that, dude. It really is.
Yeah. It's weird too. I've got my oldest son. He's 20, and he's kind of prodigal. He's written us letters how much he hates us, and some of it he's built up a lot of resentment over the years. But other parts of it, I realize some of it is he's just trying to become his own man and doesn't know
Yep.
how.
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird because I look at him, and so much of what he's doing is based on what I've taught him.
Mm.
And I would never say that to him because then he'd quit doing everything good in his life. But it's weird because we got a letter from him. 'Cause we homeschooled all our kids and still homeschooling four of them. And we got a letter from him, one of those, instead of Dear Mom and Dad, it was Dear David and Green,
Oh
and
wow.
proceeded to tell us how much he hated us and even trying to use scripture for that. But you know what? I read that letter and it hurt. But then I'm like, man, the grammar and the punctuation and all that in this letter is so good. I taught this kid well. His language arts teacher at homeschool was pretty good.
That's a good example of reframing, right? You're focusing
Yeah.
on a positive of that situation. I love that,
Yep.
man. Love it.
Yep. So before we close out, man, anything I've missed or failed to ask or just something you want to reemphasize, anything like that?
Well, as I said earlier, and I'm going to reiterate it again, man, for anybody that's listening. And if anybody wants to get any value, or if anybody didn't pull anything, I really hope that somebody get value from what I'm about to say right now. We've got so much stuff going on, right? So many distractions, so many different things pulling at us, so many things are just tugging at our distractions, and it's never been so much more critical as it is right now to stop what we're doing to be present for those that are around us. The most valuable asset that you have is what? Time. I ran through an exercise with one of my clients today, and like I said earlier, I have not had one person who did not shed a pool of tears,
Yep.
because time is a precious commodity you'll never get back, and we get so wrapped up on things. Whether you're working for a company, you've got a business, multiple businesses, whatever, you get so wrapped up. You always put stuff off. You put stuff off. Put stuff off. Well, guess what? When you're on your deathbed and you think, "Shoot, I never got to impart that lesson I wanted to teach. I had all that time to teach, that lesson, that legacy, to leave that legacy." It's too late now. It's too late. You have everything within you right now to make an amazing life, right? Like,
Yep.
everybody seems to think that these amazing successful people that you see, David Goggins, for example, that you reference, but you look at anybody that's been super successful. Do you think anything special about them? No. They just persevered. They pushed through the hard stuff. They continued. They didn't quit.
Yep.
Right? They surrounded with themselves with people who want to see them succeed, pushed him with love, not hate, but pushed him, give them criticism. Hey, man, I don't think you should be doing that. I think you really should be doing X, Y, and Z. You're going to get better results of that. You're going to get, life is hard, bro. I mean, life is hard. You have to choose your hard. Yeah. It's hard being fat, but on the flip side, it is hard going to the gym, but you're going to be in shape. Your return on investment is much greater there, right?
Yeah.
It's hard being financially disciplined, but it's also hard being broke. Ask me how
Yep.
I know in both of those scenarios. You just got to choose your hard. And
Yeah.
guys, there's nothing that you cannot achieve. You just have to move past the self head, the head trash that we talk ourselves into, because somebody in your life told you you couldn't do it. And it wasn't because they wanted to hurt you, it's because they thought they were protecting you. Oh, Johnny, you can't do that. You need to be more realistic. You can't do that. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to fail. Okay.
Yeah.
Off. And,
Yep. And now that I'm
but
49, I mean, I still love doing physical stuff that other 49-year-olds shouldn't be able to do. And I mess it up sometimes, but everybody's like, shouldn't you be doing less of that kind of stuff? But I don't know. I have never bench pressed 300 pounds in my life, and I realize kids younger than me are doing it, but I want to hit that.
there you go. Let's go, man.
Yep. I mean, I'm sure I could
Awesome.
have done it when I was younger. I just wasn't into weightlifting or anything, but you know, I'm gonna try to do it before I hit 50.
Awesome, dude.
Yep.
Awesome. I
Hey,
look forward
a
to seeing
final
that
plug for
message.
your program too. We've been talking about David Goggins, and though we both really like him, I followed him for a long time, and his family life. Talk about generational stuff. His family life was crap, and there's a reason he doesn't talk much about family now. And I think he needs to be a student in your program and not just one of the speakers, because it'd be nice to see a guy like that get tender enough to realize, you know what, I need to cry with these other men and not be hard all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No,
people that don't read David Goggins might hear what I just said and think that sounds kind of weird, not being hard
hmm
all the time. But
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I can understand some of his family life. I read his one of his first books, and I get his family life. Dude, that kid, I say kid, sorry. That guy's had a hard life, right?
yeah,
No doubt. And to see what that guy has accomplished, over the
yeah,
life, and when he was told no, he couldn't do it, and all the complications he's had, and I'm not going to give it away. If you haven't read his book, read his book. You'll understand what I'm saying. But dude, you're talking about overcoming adversity, and he did it with every branch, right? He went to an SF division of every branch,
yeah.
between Marines and Navy and Army. And so it's like, who does that? Who does that,
Not
man?
normal people.
No, no, no. But no, I mean, dude, I want. I, I welcome anybody to come into my program and hope that they get value. In fact, I know they will get value. There is no hope there. I know they will. They just need to show up and take action. They
Yep.
just need to show up
Yep.
and take action.
Yep. Awesome. Well, man, I appreciate you being here with me.
Love it, man. I appreciate the invite. Appreciate the opportunity to speak and share some insight, my story, and my passion. Really do appreciate it.
Yeah. Anytime you get something new come out too, another book, big lecture somewhere, anything you want me to talk about, man, just give me a holler and we'll get you back on.
We'll do it, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, dude.
I will publicize you to all 10 of my followers.
You got one more than I do.
And one of mine is Ryan Rieger, since this is like season 2 of his old podcast. So
really awesome.
Yep. All right, man. Well, I'm going to let you get on with your day. We've talked a lot about time freedom and how important time is, and so I don't want to steal any of yours. And just thanks for being with us. So
yeah, pleasure being here, man. Again, thanks for the opportunity, and looking forward to coming back again and share an update and provide more value.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the after show snippets. Little extras, little things not related to the interview, not necessarily related to the person, but things that I want to get across, things people have asked me, whatever. It's an extra. It's a bonus for you. I hope you're still here, tuning in, ready to get some more. Hey, I've spoken to you about industry trade magazines before, and I pulled this article from another one that I get. It's called Successful Farming. And so many of you might not get that magazine, may not have any need for that magazine. I've got, I call it a farm. I do grow some things, but I have the hopes of eventually making it into an income producing farm. And so I get this magazine, get lots of tips and lots of neat business ideas, but I also love it for the streams of income that I read about that come from farming. So I pulled this one article. This is from an older issue, and I held on to this for a while. It's about this guy he's a beef farmer. And one really interesting thing about farmers is you'll find that no matter what they say they are many, many things. This guy is a beef farmer, but he also grows a lot of the grain to feed his cattle. If you're watching the YouTube, I'm looking down because I have this article right in front of me. But he grows a lot of the grain to feed his cows. He also grows other crops that he sells in addition to his cattle. And so I thought this was pretty cool. But he had, at the end of this interview with him, he told what he calls his formula for starting a farm from scratch. So this will work for a farm, but also it's pretty good advice for any kind of business. So I thought I would impart this wisdom from Tony Baltes to you. And it's Iowa, Lisbon, Iowa. That's where this fellow's at. All right, so I'm going to read you the intro, and then I'll just read you the key points, okay? Innovation on the farm has been a requirement for Baltes. He grew up in town, so not out in the country like some farmers claim they were. He grew up in town and had no real connection to land or family farming resources. However, from childhood, he had a dream that would not go away. And now, 20 years into his farming career, he's one of the rare ones who started from scratch and made it. And this quote from him: "I tell my kids that if other farmers make $10 an acre, we've got to figure out a way to make 20. Here's his formula. All right, so number one, have a dream. So he grew up in, it sounds like the suburbs. His dad was an engineer, so not a farming family. He grew up in the suburbs. Got the farming bug at a young age. Oh, this is cool. He used his telescope from his bedroom window to watch other farmers work in their fields. Or not other, just to watch farmers. So as a kid, he's using a telescope not to look up into space, not dreaming about being an astronaut, but he would look out and watch farmers in the fields. I made scrapbooks of what my farm would look like someday. In high school, he actually sought out farmers in the area to work for and learn from, and then got an agriculture degree from a nearby community college. Well, imagine that. He went to college for something useful and is actually doing what he went to college for. That's a big bust on colleges. I don't, I've got quite a few degrees and don't do everything that I went to school for, but yeah, this guy did, and that's not normal. And so that's pretty cool, though. So he dreamed about it. He made scrapbooks. He watched, he worked, he copied, he got mentors, and then got the education he needed. All right, so number one is have the dream. Number two, network. So he didn't have a family farm to come back to. And let's see, he says his dad gave him a couple of nuggets of advice. All right, so first he told me never let anyone outwork me. That's amazing advice. His dad said, don't ever let anyone outwork you. I was listening to a podcast yesterday evening on the way to my son's football game, and the guy said one of the things his dad told him was to always be the guy that worked harder than anybody else. Be the guy that when the boss walks into work, he sees you there before him. When the boss leaves to go home, he sees you leaving after him. Be the guy that outworks everyone else. And it doesn't mean you have to work all the hours. It just means you need to work smarter. You need to be visible, and just work harder and smarter than everybody else. And then he told me to talk to a lot of people. That goes along with number 2, networking. He told me to talk to a lot of people. And he said, Baltis says, I'm pretty good at that. The networking paid off when, after college, he learned about a woman near his house who wanted to sell her 100-acre farm. She liked his youthful enthusiasm. He then qualified for a government guaranteed loan with no down payment and bought his first farm. It doesn't dig into the story about how she found out he was enthusiastic, but I am betting that this guy out of college as a young man probably was like knocking on her door, taking her pies, like talking to her about the farm, listening to her stories about maybe how her husband or her sons or her dad or granddad worked the farm. And she could see that he was excited by all that. Probably all the things that she would tell, the stories she would tell, the things she would do that other people got bored with. This dude was probably just sitting there, just enthralled by all of it, just wanting to hear more. And finally, when the time came and he probably was like, have you ever thought about selling? She probably realized, you know what? I never have, but if I was going to sell, it'd be somebody like you that wants to take it over and wants to do something good with it. So how much you got? that's just me imagining how the conversation went. All right, so number 3, network some more. All right, soon after, 2 other neighbors decided to quit farming and they rented their land to him. There's a neat stream of income. So these folks quit farming. Here's a young, enthusiastic farmer that's doing good, keeping the land good. And so they decide, well, okay, we don't necessarily want to sell. Let's rent the land to him. And so there's a stream of income for them. That's pretty awesome. Oh, listen to this. One of them had cattle facilities and cows, and they partnered 50-50 on a small herd. So now he's in the cattle business. The landowner provided the land and the cattle. Baltis did the work, and they split the proceeds. That put him in the cattle business without having to buy any cows. 5 years later, he actually bought out that neighbor, though. That's pretty awesome. I like that. That's a really neat story. I mean, you could apply that story to any business about how you can get started with no capital, no resources, no nothing other than enthusiasm and some education, and he did it. All right, so number 4, and once again, network. In the beginning, he rented equipment from a neighbor when he needed it. In recent years, he partnered with another neighbor on big ticket items like planters and combines. And that big farm machinery that you see out there, I'm just throwing a rough guess out there. I have no idea, but I'm guessing you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars for some of that machinery. And so a small farmer can't afford that stuff. So he partnered with another neighbor to go in and buy that stuff. I help him in the field in planting and harvest seasons, and in return, I use his planter and combine for my crops. If you look around, you'll find friends out there who want to help you. All right, number 5, stretch resources. While he had a strong desire to farm, it didn't take him long to realize he'd never compete with the biggest conventional farmers on acreage or equipment. That's the thing. Small business entrepreneurs, you're never going to be able to compete on money and size, and so don't try. Change the rules, play a different game. So, however, he could make every acre go further. Another way was to convert the whole farm to organic. So here's a quote from him. It's old school farming, but I found that in so many ways, it's a better way to farm. So he sells organic soybeans. Get this. Organic soybeans, he's selling for more than $30 a bushel, and organic corn for over $10 a bushel. So that's, I said all that. I have no comparison. I'm guessing it's a lot more. So, but by making a few changes in how he grows, how he does things, he's able to make a lot more money per acre. He also stretches cattle returns by direct marketing most of the feedlot steers to consumers as halves. That's pretty awesome. So he actually sells halves, wholes, and individual cuts straight to consumers, direct marketing, instead of selling in bulk, wholesale, whatever the farmers call it in that industry, selling it to the meat lot. And so that's pretty cool. He says, I like to tell customers that our beef is low mileage and never leaves the county. That's pretty cool. So that's an advertising slogan for him there. Number 6, supplemental income. It's no shame to supplement a shoestring farm with off farm work. Now that's something. If you're a Dave Ramsey fan, and I've been a Dave Ramsey fan for a long time, one of the big key tenets of Dave Ramsey's for getting out of debt, for getting by, for living your dreams. When you're trying to buy something big or whatever, get another job, get a side job, get a side hustle, start something. You sell stuff. And so Baltes was not afraid of off-farm work. I've worked for neighbors, poured concrete, you name it in the past few years. Now listen to this. This is pretty awesome because let's bring some family stuff into this. I've been a part-time school bus driver. When my kids got into school activities, I was going to their games anyway, so why not drive the bus? Now I drive her out early in the morning and get home about the right time to start cattle chores. I enjoy it, and most schools really need bus drivers. And so, man, this dude he's really got his head screwed on, right? He's finding ways to just multitask things, make extra money when it's needed, whatever. All right, number 7, we're talking about money. Don't overspend. I have a 1-month rule. If something seems like a good idea now, I just sit on it for a month. Is it still a good idea then? And I never let myself get too discouraged. I'm thankful for what I'm doing, where I am, and what I've accomplished. So number 1, have a dream. Have the dream. The dream. Number 2, network. Number 3, network some more. Number 4, once again, network. Number 5, stretch resources. Number 6, supplemental income. And number 7, don't overspend. And if you're ever near Lisbon, Iowa, if you can get over to his farm and he does any kind of tours, if he's got a little like farm market stand by the roadside or something, why don't you help this guy out? Tony Baltes, Lisbon, Iowa. I thought that was a pretty cool story. And like I said, you can apply that across just about any industry. Hey folks, so I went into this place the other day called Be Well Honey. And if you're watching the YouTube version, got a business card and some stuff I'm going to show you. If you're not, don't worry. I'll give you all the info in the show notes. But it's called Be Well Honey. It's located in Pickens, South Carolina, and right near my house. I mean, or a few miles, next town over. But it's the county seat, but it's a small little town, some really cool coffee shops, and places like Be Well Honey. Neat thing about this place is it's right beside the Doodle Trail, which is an amazing Rails to Trail project. Highly recommend you check it out. Now that I mention it, every single one of you should make a plan to come visit my hip campsite, stay here for a couple nights. That way you can bring your bikes, have a nice place to park them, clean them off at the water hose at the back of the house here, and ride the Doodle Trail and stop in at some of these amazing coffee shops that I go to all the time. It's pretty awesome because you can start at one end of the Doodle Trail, ride about, I think it's about 8 miles, and then coffee shops at the end, caffeine, fuel up, and then ride the 8 miles back. Really good. But I digress. That's the Doodle Trail. I wanted to talk to you about Be Well Honey and also some pretty cool stuff I bought there. So Be Well Honey is this amazing natural food store. And it's incredibly local. I mean, it's locally owned, locally run. Met the manager the other day. She's pretty awesome. The owner's name is Carrie Owen. And I'm going to try to get the owner on one of the podcasts at some point to talk about the streams of income with a small natural food store. And met the manager, Adrian, as well. She is the one that sold me on Silva Coffee. So if you drop into Be Well, you're going to find Silva Coffee on tap, in beans, ground, however you need it, but they serve up some great Silva coffee. And she was talking to me about this. And to be honest with you, though, I've lived here for a few years, I've yet to go into this Be Well place. And so she was introducing me to Silva coffee and some of the other stuff in the store, and gave me this cute little sample cup. It looked like an espresso-sized shot glass. But she gave me a sample, and it was amazing. And so I'm going to have to go back and you know how it is when you find a good coffee or a good coffee shop, you got to go back and try all the things, everything. And so I'll have to go back often. But she was talking to me about Silva Coffee and said that, you see the logo and it's got this shovel and an axe on there. And she said the owner she said some stuff with the logging. I'm not sure exactly what he does, but he does something in terms with forestry. I thought that was pretty awesome because he roasts the beans over a wood roasted fire, not just some propane powered heat or anything like that, or electric like most places do. A wood fired coffee roaster. Now that just sounds amazing. And he's pretty local. He's actually closer to me than the Be Well Honey store is. And so I'm going to have to get up with him as well. We just had a huge hurricane, and the forests around here are pretty decimated. I mean, dead trees everywhere. ones that are about to fall down everywhere. And so he's probably working pretty hard right now. But as soon as I can, I'm going to get him on the podcast as well. And not just for streams of income, but you'll also see him. I'll post that. You know what? I'm going to post that and this on my Coffee Scholar channel as well, because it deals with coffee. It deals with streams of income. But for now, I'll tell you, his coffee was amazing. And the Be Well Honey store, and they actually do, they what do you call it, farm their own honey, grow their own. They have their own bees, and they have their own honey supply, and you can get it fresh from the bees right there at the store. I mean, you go around town, you'll see hives everywhere, and they put hives on different properties around different different types of growth, wildflowers, certain types of crops, things like that. They're going to enhance the flavor of the honey. That's pretty cool. And so I'm going to go back. I promise. I'll go back, interview them a little bit. But I did go ahead and buy a Silva Coffee chocolate bar, bean to bar, it says. And I bought the Neapolitan Cremina white chocolate because I'm a huge white chocolate fan. And so I wanted to go ahead and get this with this Silva Coffee, and even on the back, small batch wood fire coffee roasters. And so the ingredients here, anytime I get something like this, I always like to read the ingredients for you. So you'll know that it's not just something nasty and gross like you might get from a much larger chain coffee thing. So we got cocoa butter, whole milk powder, cane sugar, espresso beans, salt, and sunflower lecithin. And this is actually manufactured by, I mean, this is private label chocolate. If you're not familiar with private label, it's an amazing way to do an additional stream of income. And what you do is you find a place that already does the thing you want to do. So I don't roast my own coffee. I don't buy green coffee beans and work it from there on through the process. Mostly I review different coffees on the Coffee Scholar channel. And I'm not sure who I should be talking to, because I'm going to post this video on streams of income and the Coffee Scholar. But on the Coffee Scholar, if you're not watching it there, I review coffees, and so I don't have my own coffee brand. But I could easily do that by private labeling with another coffee company. I could create my own blends. I could do single origin, things like that. Or I could go to a chocolate company. This is Lumino Chocolate in Travelers Rest, which is about 3 towns over, just another small town with an amazing another trail network. So another great place you could visit when you're staying at my hip camp. And so this is private label chocolate. He goes to them with the recipe. He supplies the beans from his stock, and they make the stuff. And before I forget, let me give you his website, Silva Coffee Co. Silva, S-I-L-V-A, Coffee, C-O.com. So it's Silva Coffee Company. Oh, man. Tell you what, I bet y'all love sometimes when I don't edit these videos. I know what'll fix that cough, though. A little bit of chocolate. So let's rip into this thing and try it here on camera and see what it tastes. Oh, my goodness. Sometimes it's embarrassing, but I'll be honest with you. Sometimes some of y'all like making fun of me when I cough and stuff on camera. So standard chocolate bar. We got enough squares to share, but I don't know. I don't share chocolate. It's a 1 serving size. All right, let's go ahead and try this. Ooh, this is good. So I can taste the crunch of the coffee beans and feel the crunch. I guess you can't really taste a crunch. I don't know if you can hear that on camera either. But it's pretty good. It is a very good flavored coffee chocolate bar. The only thing that confuses me, though, is it said white chocolate. So unless I'm colorblind, and it's always possible, that's not white chocolate. It also doesn't have the mouthfeel of a white chocolate, because white chocolate is always a little more waxy because of how it's made. And that's interesting. I'll have to ask him about that. But the flavor is really good. I mean, it's the price. The price point was like gourmet coffee bar price point, or sorry, gourmet chocolate bar price point. So it is definitely quality chocolate. Like when I rate chocolate, I mean, it's got coffee in it, so it's already high on the rating, but total rock bottom of the rating is like a Nestle chocolate. There's a standard milk chocolate bar. step up from that is like a Mr. Beast chocolate bar. Whether you like Mr. Beast or not, his chocolate is actually better than Nestle. It's pretty good. And this, then you hit like gourmet chocolate bar. And this one is pretty good. I like it. All right. So stay tuned for future podcasts. I know you should never talk while you're eating, but some of y'all aren't seeing this video. You're just listening to this. So I'll go ahead and finish talking. Stay tuned for a future episode. Several. I'll try to get the Be Well folks on there and also the dude from Silva Coffee. And maybe I'll just see if he'll let me shoot the podcast on location at the roaster so you guys can see exactly what he's doing. I think that would be amazing. All right, so y'all be sure to keep an eye out for that.